All right, welcome back. Let's now look at some ERD exercises that are the content of the exercises for week 2. So as promised, I will be showing you my solution as well as the way that I tackle the question for the first 3 questions. So let us now start with the Hudson group. Do remember that for each of these question, we have already put together some videos. You can find under week 2 supplementary video on class exercises. Then you can watch the respective video to help you to better understand and comprehend each of this story. All right, so here in the Hudson case, basically we can focus on the second paragraph. And this particular company has 12 instructors and they can handle up to 30 trainees. So very likely instructors and trainee, there are some entity, so let us just take note of that. So there is likely going to be instructor entity as well as a trainee entity. Okay, so very likely there's going to be some relationship between them, and this company offers 5 courses. So courses are very likely to be entity as well. So it's course which is singular, and each of which we generate several classes. So very likely we'll have class as another entity. If a class has fewer than 10 students, then it will be cancelled. So very likely this is the minimum condition for a class to be held for a course. It is therefore possible for a course not to generate any classes during a session. So precisely this is what we are saying. Each class is taught by one instructor. So that's the relationship between instructor and class. And each instructor may teach up to 2 classes. All right. So basically, if we follow all those relationships very carefully, okay, we can tell that the instructor is going to teach some classes, okay, and a instructor can teach probably may teach up to 2 classes. So I think it is likely going to be 0 to 2, so 0 to multiple. And whenever you have a class, it's always being taught by one and only one instructor. So we will have to write some assumption here, okay, because the cardinality is not entirely clear to us. But let me just join them up now. Okay, so we are going to write our first assumption, which considers this. A class is taught by one instructor only. Okay, a instructor may teach 0 to how many? 2, right? Classes. Okay, and I hope you can remember that we can't really specify the exact condition or the exact number of instances, so we will need to write down the number. Okay, so we know that the bottom or the minimum is 0 because it's optional. So what we need to do is to specify the maximum. So in this case, it's 2. The other way, if you want to be clearer, we just to fully implement the chance model notation. So you can say 0, 2. Okay, the other way is of course 0 dot dot 2. So we leave that to you. So for now, I just put 0, 2. We'll just put it there. And that will be our first set of relationship. Next, I will have course and class. Okay, so we do know that a course may have multiple classes, and whenever there's a class, there is always one and one only course. And sometimes a class may have 0 classes. So basically, this is the relationship that we are looking at. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me just quickly read that again. Okay. So it seems that that is proper. Okay. And then we look at trainee. A trainee may take up to 2 classes per session. So basically, there's the relationship between trainee and class. So a trainee can take 0 to 2, which is multiple class, and class should be taken by at least 10. if not more trainees. So it's a many-to-many relationship. So in such a case, we need to create a associative entity in between. Okay, we can call that class dash trainee, or more specifically, we can call that enrollment. So in this case, we call it enrollment. It's a weak entity. Okay, so originally we can draw the relationship such that we can understand it better. So we are saying that a trainee may take up to 2 classes. So here we need to make another assumption whether we allow trainees to take 0 classes. So in my opinion, a trainee must take at least 1 class. So of course you can make the 0 assumption, okay? I leave that to you, but in my case I assuming 1. And a class is formed with at least 10 trainee. So basically it is 1 to multiple, and the other side is 1 to multiple as well. So basically we should have this relationship before decomposition, which is between class and trainee. Okay, but we are going to conduct decomposition, and we are going to do the crisscross, but the crisscross is going to be quite straightforward, right? Because both end it is 1 and the multiple side is always compulsory many. So basically we have this to enrollment, and then we have another relationship, okay, which is this to trainee. Okay, and this original relationship can be now be deleted. Okay, the next thing is, of course, we need to specify the maximum and minimum. So a class should have a minimum of 10 enrollment, so it's 10 to multiple. Okay, and a trainee can have a maximum of 2 and minimum of 1. So basically we can write that here. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, and of course you need to name all the relationship if you want to make sure that this diagram is complete. So here I can call that generates, all right, and then I can call class and enrollment as is listed in. Okay, I'm sort of running out of space. All right, and then we have another relationship to name. Here we say it is written in. Okay, and finally the one between instructor and class, it is teachers. Okay, additionally you have to come up with some attribute, of course. So let's do that very quickly. So here we will have instructor ID. Okay, it's going to be a key, and then we can have a instructor name. All right, and then we can have some others. For example, oops, sorry, this is a instructor ID. Okay, so this is a key. Okay, so we have another one which is here, which we can call that class ID. Okay, and then we can have a venue for a class. Okay, of course, these are not given to you in the passage, but next time we will certainly give you all the attribute information such that you don't have to make the assumption. Here, of course, we will have a course ID, which is a key. Okay, then we can also have a course name. Okay, which is not a key attribute. Okay, let me just move that down a little bit. Okay, then here we have trainee. So trainees will have a trainee ID to identify them. Okay, so this is a key. And then as trainee, we have a name, of course. So we just call that name or trainee name to make sure that it is precise. And then enrollment. Enrollment will take the primary key from its left and right. So basically it's a class ID and trainee ID. So here we will have class ID as its key. Okay, and then trainee ID. which is another key. Okay, so for each enrollment, probably we need to capture the results ultimately. So it is a result. Okay, then we can actually draw all these attributes to their respective entity. So we have this, we have name, we have class ID, oops, class ID here, we have a venue for the class, we have a course ID for a course, we have a course name for a course, we have trainee ID for training, we have trainee name for a trainee, we have results on the enrollment, we have training ID as part of the primary key, and we have class ID as the remaining part of the enrollment. So this will be a suggested solution for the Hudson engineering group.